Hey everybody, I'm Kelly Ellers,
I'm Jeffrey London.
and this is Volume Up by the Tees. Jeff, we've got some things to talk about. So I don't know if you know this, but my son is almost 16. Like we've got 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 months.
Oh wow. Okay. That's scary.
I know.
Yeah, no, time flies,
And
unfortunately.
I feel like now, like you still have to do, like I've been out driving with him, and there is
Uh-huh.
no truer statement than you just find yourself pushing your feet in the front of the seat of like you're trying to brake, like literally
hmm
trying to brake the car. I bet I've
hmm
caught myself doing that like every 5 minutes or so, like slow down, so slow down, slow
Yeah.
down.
Do you do that with other people though?
No,
Okay.
you
I
do?
find that I do that with other people too. Like I get real uncomfortable real fast. And I don't love
Wow.
being the driver all the time.
Oh, I do. See, I want to
Same.
drive.
Yeah,
I think
no.
it's a control thing.
I mean, probably, if you unpack that. But yeah, I find myself using the brake foot that's not for the brake that's not
Wow.
there a lot. And so yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but for your kid, I mean, that's got to be heightened too because you don't want them to get hurt.
Yeah, and that's like we're both there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and like you see the cars coming and he's like likes to hug the center line versus he
No.
thinks he's gonna go. Oh, so it
Oh.
I know. I'm like, get over.
I this is like the one thing that not there's a couple of things that I'm not looking forward to, but like teaching kids how to drive
Yeah,
definitely up there on the list of things I do not
yeah.
want to do.
It's
I remember being terrible when I was learning.
really,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
We could drive in Iowa. We could drive to school when we were
Mm,
14. 14.
too young.
Do you
That's
want to
too...
know how many times I went in the ditch and then I just like drove right back out
More than once? Oh
when
my
it was
God.
snowing?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
guess, yeah.
I was lucky I
Damn.
got to drive out versus,
That's true. Could have flipped it. Could have
we're all
done, yeah.
good.
I just remember because I knew some older kids and the way that they drove. So, like, I remember driving, learning how to drive, and having my leg up
Oh, that's how I drive.
and just like, so that's not
But not at
safe. That's
16.
not
That's how
safe.
I drive. I cannot drive with both of my feet on the ground. Like I don't
Really?
like it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Look
Yeah.
at all of us. These are
Mm.
deep, dark secrets and only a
I
few
mean,
people
driving
know.
really unlocks something. So it's funny that you're talking about it because you're teaching your kid. I had a conversation with my older kid about it, and she was like, "How do you know how to drive?" And like, it's an interesting. So you're like, "Well, you have to learn," and then it's like, "Well, how do you learn?" And then it's like, "Well, somebody has to show you. You have to,
Yeah.
you have to." And it was
The
just
whole thing.
yeah. I'm just again, I'm not looking forward to it. All the power to you.
The last thing I'll note on this is
Yes,
that
please.
I, of course, bought the student driver sticker.
Good, good.
Guess what?
Mm.
Won't stick to the car.
Oh, it won't.
So, and he was like, there is no
I
way.
was gonna say, I feel like the student
No way.
driver,
It's
the
pretty lame. That's pretty lame.
what is it, a yellow one?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, bright yellow. The
Mhm.
so in the Bay Area where I'm based, there are a lot of
Of
student
student
drivers
drivers.
because
Why?
they're coming from all over the world and
Oh.
they're, and
Oh,
so
they're not actual students. They're
well,
like could
right.
be
Well,
any
there's
age drivers.
correct.
They're a student of
They are
driving.
exactly, a student
Student
of
of
driving,
driving.
not a student who is also a driver. And I think because they're omnipresent, they're all, yeah, I'm fully desensitized to it. It means nothing to
Oh,
me.
wow.
I'm not
Really?
any more careful. I mean, this is unlocking something. I don't care. You gotta
You
learn
don't care?
somehow. You gotta
Yeah.
fucking learn. This is welcome to the
Just
road. That's how I
rip it
feel.
off.
And I
You
don't
know,
have like road rage, but I'm like,
sounds
well,
like you might have a little.
somebody's got
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a little fender bender, hopefully, knock on wood,
Yeah.
never hurt anybody.
I would say like the baby on board I am sensitized
Oh,
to.
not me.
We don't
Because we
have one.
all had a baby on board. What? Oh, you want me to go slow
See?
because your
See?
child's in the car? I have a
See? This is
teenager in on board. So
you got your baby on board and
I
brought him.
don't
Yeah,
like
see?
that. I don't like that.
See, there you go. I mean, it's one and the same, I think. Two sides of the same coin,
Yeah,
really, if you think about it.
it really
So
is.
who's worse? I don't, maybe you, because
One doesn't like babies, the other
well, that's my students.
doesn't like students of driving. I've
Mm.
never thought of it I always thought it was like a
Yeah.
literal
Yeah. They are a
student.
young student. Yeah.
Yeah, not a
No, and
student of driving.
no,
That
these
is
are fully
hilarious.
adult ass people that are
Oh my God,
getting
so good.
licensed in the States for the first time. And yeah,
And no mercy.
no, none for me.
Even though
Nope.
you have a baby on board,
I know, I
you
know.
have no
I drive
mercy for the
safely.
driver.
That's what I'm saying. There's not rage. It's just like,
Just like eye
why are you
roll.
going 15 miles an hour? Like,
That
we're
is
not
unsafe.
safer. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not safer for it, gang. So,
Um, Last thing on driving. So there's a lot of construction around our office here in Madison and roads closed. And I took a turn down a road that was not the road. I was driving into oncoming traffic.
I was gonna say, was it a one way?
And I thought to myself, what?
Yikes!
I thought to myself, what the fuck are they doing in my lane?
Yeah. And they were thinking the same thing about you.
I'm like, why are they swerving at me? They
In
were
your
swerving
defense,
to miss me.
yes, yes. In your defense, whether or not there is construction going on, Madison has some
I know.
confusing street where
It
all of a sudden you're
really
like,
does.
oh, nice. So
Then I automatically panic. Like, could I get arrested for this? You know what I mean? Like, went to
oh
the
yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
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 I could.
probably.
What?
Probably. I mean,
A
if they
ticket.
catch you in the, yeah, that's what I mean. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, they're not gonna like arrest you like clink clink, take you away. They're gonna be like, what is wrong
Oh,
with
this is
you? And then
ridiculous.
maybe
So
run
good.
a breathalyzer. But
Oh my
Wisconsin, again,
God.
I mean,
Yeah. Look at
yeah.
all of the irrational things I didn't think about while driving down the one way. Anyway, enough about our driving
Yes,
woes.
yeah.
Let's do this.
Well, what about water and trees?
Well, they were on the topic. They were on the gamut. Is that what it is? The
Yeah,
gamut?
the gamut. Yeah, yeah.
No, the docket.
The docket, I see.
Well, they're not related.
Okay.
So at the top of the pod, we meet with our producer and talk about what we want to talk about. And so I wrote driving, water, and trees.
Hmm.
And we've covered driving. Maybe
And
we
yeah.
save water and trees for another day.
Wow, what a cliffhanger. Yeah,
I
okay, let's
know.
do that. Let's
There's a
do
lot to
that.
unlock there.
I can't wait. Okay, well, great segue into our next segment, which is Obsessed or Over It, where we react to products, services, and trends and decide if they're a hit or a
Yes.
miss. We'll be breaking down what's worth the hype and what isn't, giving our honest takes along the way. Follow along by checking the show notes or heading to our Instagram, where we're going to be posting all of the things that we're talking about right now. First
Right
up,
now.
are you obsessed or over it? Alex Earl has a skincare brand.
Yeah. So I'm totally over it. And it just started.
It's not even launched officially.
I just think, you know why I'm over it? Oh, it
Yeah.
hasn't launched yet?
No, technically, no. I mean, all
It's
of
just,
the
it's such a like,
oh, and
like,
I.
oh,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
too. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, whatever. Anyway, I think it's probably, she worked with a dermatologist. Well, of course you did. But like, what's different about it? Nothing. And you know what really irks me? Here's the thing. Her imagery. Have you been on the website?
Yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah.
naked in water, and we're talking
Oh,
about acne. I mean,
Kelly, of
what?
course she is.
It's
Of course
so
she is.
lame. So lame.
Yeah.
I can't even look at it. I'm gonna click off it. I can't.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. Okay, so you're very over
I
it.
mean, it's just like, why is that the marketing play, right? The whole naked thing.
I mean,
Who's the audience? Who's the audience,
great question.
Teenage boys, maybe, but I wouldn't think so.
This is what it's really getting at, isn't it? Like, what are we talking about? Like,
Yeah,
true, like, what is the point of this?
right.
I don't know. It's not given acne care to me when you look at the
No.
sort of rollout. And that's not a unique criticism. So Charlotte Palermino, who is the
Oh, like the
founder.
horsey.
Hmm?
Oh, I like that.
Palomino. So the founder of Do Skin,
Yeah.
has gotten in on this.
Oh.
TLDR, formulas look great, marketing is confusing, contradictory, and needs better direction for it to be the next proactive. And then just like lays her out. So
Oh.
apparently the dermatologist
Yeah. Oh.
that she's involved with, like
Yeah.
in the brand, is Charlotte's own dermatologist. So she has great things to say about that.
Oh.
But she said the same thing. Like, what the hell is
What's
this campaign about? Like,
right?
we're what?
I mean, if they're going at proactive, then go at it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not your literal mother's proactive. Like,
Yep. Yep. So she says, issue number one, Alex claims that she's making acne hot. It's the rationale behind her campaign where she's
No.
naked and splashing in water. Everyone lives in cognitive dissonance in beauty, claiming you're beautiful as you are and finishing the sentence selling you with a product to fix something about you. For me, this campaign is extra confusing
Hmm.
because she doesn't have acne in it. Are you making
Mm.
acne hot or are you just hot? It's
Oh
fine to
my
be the
God, this is
latter.
so good.
Just make sure you're connecting the dots. Issue number two. Earl is quoted as saying that she started her brand because she, quote, didn't like skincare, and, quote, all the brands were black and white. Charlotte says, there are so many
No.
brands with gentle acne focused actives like Murad, Sophie Pavitt, Hero Cosmetics. It's giving you didn't do your homework. Lastly,
Oh,
influencers make their bread by selling products. Are you saying that your past brand deals, like with the colorful drunk elephant, were not sincere? I'd scrap this language
oh.
or explain further. Issue three, you nailed this one.
Hmm.
Very unclear website. This is pre-launch, so maybe it'll change, but Earl rose to fame with her vulnerable Accutane journeys. For those who don't know, Accutane is a very intense oral vitamin A derivative acne medication used in extreme and persistent cases. Earl is currently on spirolactone,
Mm.
another medication for acne. Everyone needs supportive skincare with prescriptions, but that's not how the brand is positioned. The site is implying she cleared her skin with her products. Issue four,
Oh,
too focused on Earl and not enough on the skincare, which you
yeah.
just said. Issue five, only acne portrayed on the website is when it's juxtaposed with an after. This isn't making acne skin more accepted. It's telling you to fix it. That this skincare will fix it.
True, true.
Just another example of how marketing isn't making acne more accepted or fun. It's more of the same.
And let's be honest,
There's more
it's
issues,
not
guys.
sexy. Acne isn't sexy. So that's a tough row to hoe, if you will,
Mhm.
because it's just not.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I think yeah. So we
It's just
really
not.
drove this into the ground. No,
We
we're
did.
we're we're over it. Nope, 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 not for us. All right,
Okay,
next
anyway, we
up.
gotta go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, gotta go. Gotta go. Too much brain space. Yellow for spring. Everything in
Mm.
stores is yellow right now. Yellow is trending. Does this surprise you? Are you obsessed? Are you over it?
I don't like yellow. Yellow doesn't look good on me.
So
And
you're over it.
I'm over it. And
Yeah.
like, is this really groundbreaking that yellow is trending for spring?
I do believe on a spring episode of the pod last year, we probably talked about butter yellow.
Yes,
So yeah.
florals for spring. How
Yeah.
groundbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it just rolls around. It's one of those things.
Yeah. Just
I
like the Bob, just coming and going.
or staying. I don't have a strong aversion to it. I'm
Okay.
not, but I'm not obsessed. So it's like one of the in
Yeah.
between. I'm not
Yeah.
over it, but I don't care enough really.
I don't care either.
Okay. Oh no, this trend. So speaking of obsessed, are we obsessed with the trend about why are you so obsessed? So have you seen these videos on TikTok and Reels where people,
Yeah, where they're screaming at
yeah,
people.
yeah.
I don't think it's nice.
It's definitely not.
Nice girls win, Jeff, in case
Yeah,
you've never
not
heard that.
and and I would agree that this is not
Mhm.
nice girl or boy
No.
behavior. I find it less frightening when it's women doing it to men. I
Yeah,
don't like
I
guys like
suppose.
barking at
No.
women and doing it, and I've seen a
Wha-
fair number of those. So I think the other part is like some of them, it's cl like people are clearly in on
Yeah.
and it's like all funny all around, and then some it's not. And I'm over it. So yeah, great job, team. I'm over it. Nope, nope,
Let's be
nope, not for me.
nice. Yeah. All right. Today on Volume Up by the Teas, we're joined with Nicole Tran and Michael Lamb, the creative director, COO, and founders of Function of Vex. A self taught artist, Nicole earned her license and built her career on the belief that nails aren't an accessory, they're art. Same girl, same. Michael serves as the backbone of Function of Vex, ensuring the foundation is as strong as the vision behind it. Together, Function of Vex has been killing the game since 2022 and is continuing to address industry gaps for independent artists and offering new and improved products. I can't wait for this one. All right, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Teas, and send in questions to volumeup@theteas.com.
But before we get there, let's talk Tease Beauty News, shall we? First up, we've got something that's pretty exciting. The
Yeah.
story is called A Unique New Collab Between the Sassoon Academy and Jeremy at Jer Does Hair Pugh comes together this April. If you follow Jeremy Pugh on social media, you may be aware of how he got into the salon professional industry. If you aren't, in short, he enrolled in a cosmetology program while serving time in prison, and it fully transformed his life. In his work as a hairstylist and content creator, Pugh has reached millions of people on social media pretty regularly, demystifying beauty for pros and consumers alike. Earlier this year, Pugh shared a story at the Serious Business Conference in New Orleans and connected with Debbie Webster, global CEO of Vidal Sassoon. Within weeks, Pugh and Webster connected at the Sassoon Academy in Beverly Hills, discussing how the Academy's legendary precision education could intersect with the modern reality of the industry. That conversation led to what is now a unique collaboration between the Sassoon Academy and Pugh, combining Sassoon's foundational cutting and color techniques with Pugh's specialty in blowout styling, finishing, and creating professional content for social media that actually performs into a class. The first class will take place at the Sassoon Academy in Beverly Hills on April 26th through the 28th, focusing on, quote, lavish brunettes, end quote. The two-day color portion will be taught by Sassoon North America color director Richie Rivera, and Pugh will be teaching the third day, which focuses on blowout styling and finishing techniques, along with content creation for hairstylists. Attendees will work with live models and leave with professionally photographed images for the portfolios. Head to thetease.com for more information, including where to get tickets.
I love this. I think that, we need some reinventing in the education category, and why not do it with Sassoon and him? I mean, he's incredible and actually does know what works on social, clearly,
Yep.
right? So I love this, and I'm excited to see where it goes. All right, next up, Sport Clips Haircuts brings the spirit of baseball season to haircutting with new Rawlings Playmaker scents. As the weather warms and baseball returns, Sport Clips Haircuts is giving fans a new way to, quote, get in the game. The brand is introducing limited edition Playmaker scents inspired by America's pastime and created in partnership with Rawlings Sporting Goods, a name synonymous with the sport. The Playmaker scents are available exclusively with the Sports Clip MVP haircut experience, that's smart, which includes a precision haircut, relaxing shampoo, and the brand's signature hot steam towel treatment. For a limited time at participating locations, that hot towel can carry one of 3 baseball-inspired scents that bring the game to life and turn a haircut into something memorable. Head to thetease.com to learn more about the scents. Jeff, I haven't really ever seen a juxtaposition of a partnership like this, right? It makes sense.
It makes sense. I'm genuinely curious about these scents.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh, see?
like, I mean, it piqued my interest. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's interesting.
One of them is old leather glove, which
Oh, I think I like that.
yeah. So I'm genuinely curious about this. So if you work for Sport Clips and you want to tell us about this, I'd love to actually hear. And if you
I'd
go
love
to
to
a
hear.
Sport Clips, I also am curious. Maybe I pop in and do it just for
Do
the sake
it.
of the experience. Like
Yes.
I'm genuinely like, huh,
Same.
okay.
Good job, Sport Clips.
Yeah, why not? Thank you so much to our contributors and our editors for this week's beauty news, and don't forget to check out more stories like these over on thetease.com. As always, we have this week's top stories that you need to know about. So, Kelly, tell me about this one. This is obviously not on the tease right
Yeah.
now. Hot topic online.
Hot topic. So it's that Cardi B is in a hurry. And I've got to assume, I would assume she always seems like she's in a hurry, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
She's coming back, and this is kind of debuting what she's all doing. I mean, she just had a baby in November. So
Which
that, I
wild.
mean,
Like,
honestly, that's really hella impressive. And
mhm.
I know she's controversial. I actually really like Cardi B because she actually says what she thinks and wants to say. I
Mhm.
mean, she's unfiltered, and I don't have a problem with it, to be honest. But for this, she said that her energy was off and she needed a refresh, a gust of new energy, and a reminder that she is both a working mother and a bad bitch. Same,
Yes.
same.
Yes.
Then she said she needed to change her shoes during the interview. And she said, okay, this is good. This is why I'm feeling she used a cuss word.
Mm.
It's because of these cuss word Uggs. And she went back and put on heels to make her feel like a badass again. So, I mean, it's just funny. Like, where did she come up with this stuff?
She's America's sweetheart. Like I know
Yeah,
I similar like I know people sort of bristle or whatever, but she's so funny. The
she's
timing is
hilarious.
incredible.
Yeah.
She also I think is like very practical about
Yeah.
like the sort of expiration date on celebrity and like
Yeah.
she's been so good about maintaining relevance and insert like now obviously with Grow Good. I mean like she's doing something that's incredibly authentic to
Yeah.
herself. She's been documenting her hair growth journey for years literally and has the footage to back it up and she's just so smart and funny and I love her. I love this. I want nothing but good things for her.
I
Unlike
same.
other
Same.
people that are in her similar orbit.
Be nice. Just
Like
stop.
yeah.
All right. Tell me about this deal.
Big news, I think, for the entire industry.
Yeah.
It was reported earlier today, as we're recording on the 26th, that Henkel is in talk to acquire Olaplex. It is a $1.4 billion deal, as reported by Reuters. There's a press release on Henkel's site. They are in the early stages of what this acquisition could look like. Yeah, people are commenting. Obviously, leadership at Henkel, leadership at Olaplex, it is poised to go through. And what we don't know is what this means for
Right.
everyone. So certainly this makes sense for Henkel to expand their hair care portfolio.
For
Obviously,
sure.
they've got a number of prestige brands that pros know and love. So this is fitting. I think, like, let's not dance around it. This could mean some important changes for
Good.
Olaplex, as we understand could, and this is all speculative. So we are awaiting details. But as of today, big news. Yeah.
That's a big one. All right. Now stay tuned for our interview with Nicole and Michael.
Nicole Tran, creative director and co-founder. Nicole Tran started as a self-taught nail artist studying Korean and Japanese artists on loop, chasing a feeling the industry hadn't given her yet. She earned her license, built a career, and hit every milestone the industry had to offer. And then she built something the industry didn't. Function of Vex was born from frustration, obsession, and the belief that nails aren't an accessory, they're the art. Every product she creates asks one question: why doesn't this exist yet? Function of Vex is the answer, built for every artist ready to ask the same thing. Michael Lamb, COO and co-founder. Michael Lamb is the backbone of Function of Vex, the infrastructure behind the vision. While Nicole dreams big, Michael makes sure the foundation holds. The finances, the hard calls, the reality checks. He believes passion isn't enough, that a great company has to take care of its people first. Employees, community, the artists Nick is building for. Where Nick is focused on impact through product, Michael is focused on impact through people. That tension and that trust is exactly what makes Function of Vex work. Nick, Michael, welcome to Volume Up. How's it going?
Hey,
Good, pretty good. How are you
hey
doing?
Jeffrey.
I'm good. I'm excited. It is not often that I get to talk to two people at the same time. So this is going to be fun. Hopefully our listeners can keep up. We're going to get right into it. Look, not everybody's familiar with you and the brand, and we're going to get into all of the things in this podcast. But what we often do is start at the beginning. So if you could, one at a time, how the hell did you find yourselves in the beauty industry? Obviously, different paths. Nick, let's start with you. I feel like the listeners, it'll be easier for them maybe to connect, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so my journey into beauty, I think with with many of us is as a fan at first, and I've always been into like hair, makeup, nails, like ever since I was like in high school. Went to private school, so like wherever I could express myself, I was trying to do that. I was painting my own nails at home, and it was a lifelong journey, always like getting to express myself in little ways like that, whether it's dyeing my hair or painting my nails at home or doing designs. And it wasn't until like after college I had kind of gotten into the work field and I was doing like marketing and copywriting and kind of just like dabbling in everything.
Hmm.
And then a couple years in like the corporate like agency world and I just got so burnt out. And I was really just looking for some bit of like solace, something that like could really be mine and I could like go back to being artistic. I'm a writer at heart and I love storytelling. And I think like art and nail art and beauty is just another way of storytelling as well.
Hmm.
So for me, it was a lot of like moving around. My early 20s was very chaotic. I lived in multiple states. And I think one thing that so many of us can relate to is like every time you move, you have to find new service providers across the board. And that was something that was like a really big struggle to me. Not only did I have to find somebody I trust, but also I was chronically online, like many of us in my generation are. I grew up on Tumblr, on MySpace, and I saw so many styles and subcultures from like across the seas, like in Asia and in Europe. And I was so inspired by all of those subcultural like fashion movements that it was hard to find nail techs here in the West that were doing the things that I was seeing over there. And so naturally, I drifted towards like DIYing. Like I started building my own kits, like obviously stuff from like eBay and Amazon back in the day. And
Hmm.
I was just experimenting on myself mostly. And it started to become like more than a hobby when my friends were asking me to do their nails too. And at some point I was like, I'm gonna dip out of the whole like corporate like marketing world and just see where this goes. And so I went and got licensed. Um, and COVID hit as soon as I graduated from my manicuring license. And I, yeah, I spent a long time kind of figuring out like, what do I do now? Like, what does this mean? Is this a sign or something? But I spent a lot of that time during COVID just really honing in on my skills and like really practicing my craft. I started a press on business, and this was like the very beginning, like before the press on boom like really happened. Um, and then when things let up and salons started opening back up again, and I started taking in-person clients, I really started to see that one-on-one effect that I had on people and getting to see what clients felt, that feeling that I felt all those years ago, like going to the right artist
Mhm.
and getting to experience it in person and seeing people feel so liberated and so enabled to be themselves. And that was like such a wonderful feeling for me. And then I started expanding to teaching and workshops. And um, I had at some point during this time, I had been in a car accident, which had affected some of my wrist mobility. And so long days behind the chair just were starting to take their toll on me. I think a lot of us can like relate to that in the beauty service industries because, like repetitive use injuries are really common for a lot of us. And being like bent over, like hunched over like a shrimp for like 6, 7 hours a day. Um,
Brutal.
like, and doing the kind of detailed hand painted artwork that I was doing on my clients, like it was a given. Like that was my day in, day out. And I started feeling it take a toll on my body. And I had an early thought that like, I can't do this forever, but I don't want to leave. Like, how do I stay in here and make a bigger impact beyond the clients that I can see day to day or the one-on-one students that I can have? Like, how do I reach even further into the industry and like continue to build up the industry that I love so much without like having to step away from like the art. And for me, that came to me as the idea of like product. So in the early stages, it was like working with brands that I loved. So I worked with like a Korean brand called Ice Gel. And I released like a collaborative line with them for a bit, and that really got the wheels turning from there.
Hey, Jeffrey, can I do your job for a quick second?
Please.
If not for needles, would you have been a tattoo artist?
I think a lot of people ask me that because I am very tattooed and heavily inked. I think there's something about like the permanence of tattooing that I could
Sure.
not. I'm a perfectionist by heart, so there's like something so permanent about tattooing that I couldn't bring myself to do on other people, especially like I have so many friends who are tattoo artists and they're that guilt of them like, oh, I remember that first like those first 3 tattoos I did on my
You don't want to live
mom
with that.
buddy, on my brother. They're so like jacked up. I couldn't live with that feeling. And I think the great thing about nails is that it is like something you can interchange like every 2 weeks, every month. I mean, with the quality products these days, it's typically more like every month now, but it's still not as permanent. So I would have loved to do tattooing if it wasn't so permanent.
Interesting. All right, Michael, how the hell did you factor into this picture? Did
Mine,
you always know beauty was where you'd wind up? Like, what did this look like for you?
no, mine was a lot more traditional. I married into it. Yeah, I was working for the family business and then I jumped ship. And then right around the time that Nick was starting up, not the conception, but like actually making things physical from the idea of FFX. And then I had like a business degree that I always wanted to use. And then we first started, and I was like, hey, these are the things I learned in school. And she's like, shut up. Um, so I learned a lot here. I think if I really examined it, there are like links to my prior employment with my parents and the operational side of all of that, especially like the administrative side. Um, but I'm lucky. I think we learned pretty early on that like our skill sets could complement each other because she's the big creative and the big dreamer, and I've tried my hand at graphic design and it's terrible, right? But she also doesn't want to do any of the like monotonous things that I can do. Yeah, so we're here. I tagged along at a really early and right time.
Okay. All right. Well, to that end, Nick, you mentioned you had been collaborating. You had been thinking around product. When did the sort of seed get planted for Function of X? FFX, like going it out on your own is very different. So talk to me about like what was that initial thinking like?
I think the initial thought was I had like a connection, right? So I had worked with like Ice Gel in Korea, and I had a pretty decent connection with their marketing manager and their product manager there. And it was the idea of like, what if this could be more? And I remember talking to them, and the limitation being like, we love you, we want to work with you, but for you to have your own line, those minimums are crazy. And we like have our own brand. And for us to take on producing formulations for another brand,
Hmm.
we would have to be able to meet like crazy minimums. And that's when I started to really like understand and kind of piece together what the behind the scenes looked like of actually running a brand when you don't have your own lab, when you don't have your own manufacturing plant. Um, so I was still determined, obviously. It was just like a really long and slow process. I think we launched the brand in November of 2022, and it took about 2 years prior to that of just like me working 8 to 8, like full day of clients. I come
Hmm.
home, I eat like something really fast, and I'm on the computer researching, looking up like labs, like domestic labs, looking at overseas labs. Um, and I think I did that for like 2 years straight, just like trying to gather as much information as could. Because I didn't really, this is not something that like people sell courses on, or they don't like, I think at the time I didn't have like a mentor or like a way forward or a path forward to like what I wanted to do, but I knew it was possible. I just had to find like the path myself. Um, so a lot of that looked like when I was speaking to domestic manufacturers, what I had noticed was that a lot of domestic manufacturers, they don't like to produce new formulations. They like to create what's tried and true, and they're like,
Uh-huh.
well, we can slap your label on it, we can put your logo on it. But we have our gel polishes, these are our bases. We have like 4 different type of bases. Like you can pick which one that you like. And that wasn't something that I really wanted. I don't have a chemistry background, but I knew that like from the types of like products I had like acquired overseas, that there were so many more possibilities to formulations that like the domestic companies just weren't even tapping into.
Hmm.
So a lot of it was going overseas and looking at like factories that would work with smaller minimums because they were more used to working with foreign brands, and going beyond like, can you just do more than white label? Like, what if I had requests for X, Y, and Z? What if these are my parameters? Can you create based on those things? And I mean, I went through what must have been hundreds of vendors before I found like a couple really solid ones that we've built like great relationships with over the years. But yeah, it's like a crazy process. And now I think it's people think that it's like really easy to create like a brand because you can just like hop on like Alibaba and just find some random brand to slap your logo on. And it's true, it's possible. It's just like you have less control that way if you're not building these direct relationships.
So talk to me about, again, early days, because you've been around for a bit. What was it like getting it up and off the ground? Identifying partners, obviously huge. Doing things the way that you want in order to retain control. Um, but getting it up and off the ground is its own beast. So I'm curious from the two of you, like bringing us back to that time. What was it like? How much were we sleeping? Were we sleeping at all? Like, what was that like?
You want to take this?
What it was like off the ground. I
Mhm.
think you started with like core products. Like
Mhm.
first of all, choosing which products were going to be in like the launch roster,
Hmm.
to make a name through that way. And then it was a bunch of like hitting people up and sending out free
Yeah.
samples and just casting a really wide net. No, no guarantees.
There was
Like,
no formula,
yeah,
to be like real with you, Jeff. I had been in the industry for a bit already and
Yep.
made a lot of friends, and a lot of my friends were now like artists and influencers who had greater followings than me, but like, we'd met at workshops, we'd hung out in person, we had mutual friends. So I was really lucky to have that network starting out. But I also didn't want to become a brand that felt more like merch. Like I didn't want to rely on my own names, even though I had like won awards before. And I really wanted the brand to be able to speak for itself, because if it were going to be part of a movement, it had to be able to stand for itself. Like I
Hmm.
couldn't just let myself be the face of it all the time. So it was really like grassrootsy. Um, in my early 20s, I had like a lot of friends from college who had become like YouTubers and like influencers and models. It was during that like content creator like
Yep.
boom. And so I had like an inkling of what it looked like, that process of like launching your own line of merch, like from watching a lot of my friends do it. But venturing into the beauty industry and beauty products
Mhm.
and e-commerce in general is an entirely different beast. And that was something that we were just figuring out like day by day, just like throwing spaghetti at the wall just to see what
Yeah.
stuck. And I think a lot of it was just like taking that risk and that gamble on ourselves, like knowing that the products that we had created with our partners was like so incredible that like once people got their hands on it, they would understand. And that's kind of really where it all started, was just like sending out hundreds and hundreds of PR boxes with our tiny budget.
Yeah. I mean, FOX started in a closet at some like
Right?
at a place called like Collab Space.
Like a co-working
Yeah,
space.
yeah,
Yeah, that was like our very first office was like a 200 square foot, like what looked like a broom closet.
yeah.
And inventory had been stacked from like floor to ceiling. And there's like barely enough room for, I remember like I was turning around and hitting like the desk and then turning around, hitting the printer. So
And then as our relationship got more serious, we moved it into the living room. So the back wall was like inventory. Then you have 2 feet of space and it's chairs and a desk and then couch and then TV. And so we're just doing that all the time. But it was hard for friends to come over
yeah,
because uh it just
just
wasn't
like
a very
a
warm
warehouse.
space. Yeah. And then it had to grow from there when we realized that like we hadn't had a weekend in so long.
Mm.
In order for us to have a weekend, we would need someone to fulfill orders
Hmm.
and just be hiring people to come into the home, especially when we have like 2 dogs and all of our personal stuff in there. So it had to grow. Lots of TV. I think it forced us to subscribe to Netflix, even though I've been trying to put it off for a really long time. But we needed some entertainment with the lack of weekends we're having.
Yeah.
That's fair. Tell me, before we get into like the building of the business and hiring and all of that stuff, which is interesting, I think for people to understand the trajectory, let's go back to when you were talking about the original assortment. PODs, I mean, you talked a lot about what you wanted versus what was available, finding the right partners. But could we sort of unpack that a little bit? Like, what were the key things that you were like, this has got to be in what I'm bringing to market? I feel like that's what really makes people love this brand and trust it as they have over the years, because you are doing something differently. But I want to sort of let's just like make that clear to everybody that maybe isn't as familiar with Function of X.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's higher quality production partners, and I think there's quality at every single level when you're looking at production partners. But for us, what was really important was flexibility in manufacturing, producing in small batches, like having the quality assurance to like test every single small batch was really important to us. And also like the flexibility to change the function of every single product of like how can we take a base gel and make it more than a base gel? How can we take a gel polish and make it more than just a gel polish? And I think that's something that I took with me from like all my like experience behind the chair, was that if you want to encourage your clients to be more adventurous with art and the styles that they're getting or paying for, you have to make it like worth their time as well. Like they are not going to sit there for 5, 6 hours. I of course like had incredible clients
That
that
would.
I've loved so much over the years that will like they come in, they're like, what's the longest session I can book with you? Give me 4 hours. Like I just want to just unplug from my daily life. And I mean, obviously I think we're all very lucky when we have clients like that, but most people aren't like that. Most people want to be in and out
Yep.
like under 2 hours is like I feel like a lot of people's max. Um, so for me, it was taking that experience and that knowledge of like what clients want versus how I, as the artist, can encourage people to be more experimental with their artwork if I can do it more efficiently. If it takes
Hmm.
me 2 hours instead of 3.5 hours to do something, then I'll be able to talk to someone like into actually trying something new. And a lot of that comes from products that are multifunctional. And that was something that I hadn't really seen in on the Western market when I was looking at products over here. Everything was like, there's a specific product for this, there's a product for this function, and so you're looking at a roster of like 15, 20 different things on your desk at your station when you're working on someone. And it just gets like jumbling, it's very like disorienting and having to also like experiment and like hack this and like maybe when I use this top coat with this thing, then it works better. Like I just have to know, like I just have a database in my head, right? So how could we create a line of products that allows artists to achieve like these trends and these styles like more seamlessly, and like have integrated like products that work with each other in order for you to achieve those looks without like having to guess and check so much. So a lot of it was like looking at production partners who could take something like a rubber base gel and tweak it by X, Y, and Z, because there's a specific viscosity that works better when you're like high volume clients, or when you work with someone who has like a different nail type or nail structure. And how do I take that formula and make it cleaner, make it as clean as possible? The crazy thing that a lot of people don't understand about production is that if you go to your production partner and you say, I want like base gels like at this unit cost, they can make it possible. But there's so many things that they can cut out and that like get left out or that get subbed in order to make that unit cost possible. So if your bottom line is money, then you can make the worst product on the market with great marketing, great branding. But we never really wanted to sacrifice that. I think from the beginning, I've always told my partners, like, I don't care how much it costs. Like, this is what I want it to be able to do. This is how safe I want it to be. And I don't care how much it costs. Like, you tell me like what it's going to take. And if you don't have the raw materials here, how do we bring that in? So I think that is something that like we've never compromised on. And it's been very big to like find partners who are willing and able to like work with us in that capacity, because a lot of them, especially overseas like production partners, they just want to do what's the simplest and easiest. They're like, yeah, but like we have like 500 other American clients that all
Just do that.
they just do this. They just pick this one from our catalog.
If you
So
want the layman's explanation, um, I've always seen it as like the beginning, especially the beginning of F of X was just an extension of Nick. Like if you can turn her into a brand, then what would it look like? And Nick's such a perfectionist, and such an artist of the craft that like if this wasn't a product that she found was beneficial to herself, she wasn't going to launch it. Because I could obviously I didn't know anything, so I would always bother her and be like, "What does this do? And how's it different from what other people are doing?" And she would say, "Try it yourself," which was surprisingly not that difficult for me. Um, though I lack like technique, I could see how it was being used or what like the purpose of it. I think even the products, the brand, the tone of voice, all of that just came from like who she was and what she stood by.
Well, as soon as you were talking about the marketing background of the copywriting, I was like, oh shit. Like it's all there. Which is so interesting because a lot of these brands don't have, as you all have said, the interest in maintaining quality, the experience of actually having used this in a salon setting. So anyway, we're gonna get into many more of the details, but I'm curious again about when we started to build the two of you and you thought about, gosh, this is taking off. We need to start involving more people. We need support. What was that like? Because it's one thing to sort of like get it going, and then you know what it's going to take to go to the next level. Obviously, investment of finances and effort and all of these things. What was that like next step like for the two of you?
You're talking about specifically when we started hiring, like when it
Yes.
became
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah. So building out a team, obviously the two of you, like so much more freedom to just get shit done.
We started with a friend, and so she came into the house, and what we learned from her was that her level of care when because these are all hand applied, like these labels, they're applied in-house, and we saw that her level of care meant a lot,
Mhm.
and it transcended like it went throughout the whole process. Like in the beginning, we used to always write handwritten notes. And so watching her work, we're like, hey, this is actually really important. Um, she had at some point she had to, go a different direction, but that I think that became like the basis of how we were going to hire. And then as we,
yeah. And when we brought people in, I think we always like try to explain like if you have a background in being crafty, or if you've ever like packaged a gift for a friend, this is how it should feel. Like I
Mhm.
think we've set such a high standard for intentionality across the board in the brand
Mhm.
that part of it is like we had to let go of some of our perfectionistic tendencies and like letting go of like control of how things were done. But I think that in the very beginning, when we were starting to think about like this is going to grow bigger and we can't handle it between the two of us, it had to like come down to SOPs and like standard procedures, because how do you take like two like one like very chaotic like creative brain that just like is always like 100 miles a minute, and like one more systemized brain that's like very like slow, patient, structured, needs time to understand and like systemize things. How do you marry those two and create like a standard procedure for hiring? Because there's the creative process and then there's the actual operational process, and both of
Mhm.
them have to be able to coexist in the
Mm.
business. And I think there was that like whole balancing act of like, oh, but like I do it this way and like this is how I like to do it. And he's like, yeah, but like what if we can't find people to do it like that? And like how do we explain it in a way that more people can understand when they come on board?
Mm.
Um,
But then we did find the answer.
yeah.
And it's that like when we package product, right, to send out, we have like a loose SOP, right? Like you start here, I teach everyone the same thing, and then after that we go into like, okay, but now you become like the Subway sandwich artist of packages.
Yeah.
So you pack it how you think like you would love to receive a package, right? Then everyone has their own kind of style. So um no two packages are going to look the same, right? But the products will be taken care of. They'll be protected. We'll make sure we cover the groundwork. And then as we've hired now, I feel like now everyone on the team has um, some like a healthy regard for artistry, right?
Mhm.
So
Mm.
whether it's the email marketer or the socials person or even the fulfillment team, like one of them does nails on the side. Another one has started doing nails because they've gotten to try out our products. So and also did like cosplay
Mm.
costuming.
Yeah.
So they all understand like the level of art
Yeah.
that we're going for.
Yeah. And that's just like talking about like our in-house team. When we talk about our out of house, our remote like team, um, actually I think we started with our remote team. Didn't we start with like our like media buyer, and who's kind of like been our confidant and our coach through all of this, because he's worked at like a lot of like corporate brands, and he's also on the side done marketing and media buying for a lot of smaller brands. And over the years, he said he's pretty much like dropped everyone off, like all of the smaller clients. And he's like, yeah, I stick with you guys because you're fun and you listen to shit and you try things that like other people aren't like willing to try, when it comes to like marketing and your strategy. And you guys actually care enough to like tell stories and be invested in your team. And so many of our like remote team, they're all like freelancers, and it's weird feeling like we're such a family, but we do meet like every single week online. And it's, I think everyone's like watched the brand grow so much over the years that they've also like rooted for the brand to grow as well. They're all like, please just get big enough so we can all get hired full time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we're trying.
That's the
But
dream.
yeah, so I mean between the in-house like the in-house standards and then our like remote team of like creators and like artists, I think that everything about the brand is like just who we are at this point. And I don't think that it would be very easy to run a brand from the ground up if you didn't believe in it 100%, like
Mm.
of like it being who you are, an extension of you.
Mm. To that end, I want to understand the products that are out, and part of Function of Vex. So Fine Print, Slick Matte, Aura, Melt. How are they expressions of your artistry, of the greater team's artistry? Like, talk to me a little bit about, I mean, as you mentioned, storytelling so central to like your approach. What stories are we telling via these offerings?
I think when it comes to our product naming and packaging and like conceptually, it starts with a formula that I know that needs to exist. And then from there, like for example, Slick Matte, I knew that like we had approached a place in nail artistry where everyone wanted to do isolated chrome, but there were just so many hacks and like, oh, well, I mix this and this top coat together, or I like my hack is like I apply this top coat, then I buff it, and then I cleanse with alcohol, and then I paint the thing. But I can't just paint the thing. I have to mix the black paint with another top coat. And it's just like too many steps. And this is like exactly what I mean. Like if you want more people to try isolated chrome, like can you do it in 5 minutes instead of 20 minutes? Um, so it started from like wanting to create products for that specific um, purpose that led me to creating Slick Mat. And I think with our packaging, there were so many brands already that when I had gotten into nails when I was a student and when I had gotten out that it just felt like they weren't speaking to me. I'm very like I've always been pretty alternative and like counterculture. And everything just felt like really either too pink coated or too spa coated to me. And I was wondering where the brands were that would be for the weirdos, the freaks. I don't know. So that's kind of where our like packaging ideas came into play. And I pull a lot of my inspiration from like skate culture, from punk rock culture, and from like fashion subcultures. So instead of just looking at a bottle or a jar as like, okay, well, like give me the most like the cheapest generic shape and then like, I don't know, make it white or black or pink because that's the easiest sell for the industry. I wanted to look at every single product like as its own, as if I was looking at a piece of clothing. Like,
Mhm.
how do I design this graphic to make it stand out? How do they look cohesive as a collection, but each one is like identifiable as its own like soul and spirit as a product? Which is something that like I think a lot of our customers notice very early on is like every single label, there's so much graphic design and direction and artistic direction that goes into every single label. We're not just like printing, we don't have one single font that we're just like printing across every single product, every bottle. So with Slick Matte, it was wanting to create a matte top coat that was 100% reliable 100% of the time for isolated chrome. Like chrome pigments would just slide right off. And then it came down to creating art gels that were compatible with chrome pigments. Like, and you didn't have to, it took all the guesswork out of having to mix black gel polish with a specific like non-wipe top coat. So that team of like fine printed Slick Matte is kind of what really like helped us take off as a brand. And then with Aura Melt, it was knowing once again that there were so many people were wanting to achieve the aura or gradient. And I mean, I grew up like seeing like the boomer nails or the French fade nails, like getting acrylics in high school and whatnot. But it always involved like either acrylics or airbrushes. And as airbrushes kind of resurfaced in popularity, we as an industry had to face this new wave of technicians who maybe weren't as like well versed in the safety procedures and safety standards of aerosoling like their gel products. And so I was watching so many like younger artists, newer artists like mix acetone and gel polish into their airbrush canisters and just aerorizing it.
Which
In
is
front of
bad.
yeah,
That
in
was
front, I mean, yeah, you basically have like these microfine particles of uncured gel, which are volatile components in the air. And if you're not wearing proper protection, your client's not wearing proper protection, you guys would basically both have to be wearing like masks for like spray painting. But
Which
that's
of course people are not doing in the
people were
salon to
not
be,
doing
you
that.
know.
Yeah, so not only are you creating microfine particles in the air that can land on your skin, on your arm, like on your client's face, on your face, but they're also inhaling it. And there was just like so much controversy around it. And I knew there had to be a way to create those same looks in a safer and faster format. And on top of that, it's just like the maintenance of an airbrush machine, like the cleaning of it, and how expensive they were every time they broke. You know, like I had so many friends who were like, I've bought like 4 airbrush machines at this point and they break every single time. Doesn't matter how well I try to clean them out and all the parts, it just always happens. It's just one of those finicky devices. And so I had known that like pigments had been around for ages, like loose pigments in jars. Um, First, I mean, I think most of us are introduced through like chrome pigments as loose pigments, but there was also a side that was just like straight, like pure cosmetic pigments that were finely ground and like loose. And the trouble with that was that like anytime you have a loose pigment, you're gonna knock it over or like one bet like loud breath. And now you're like huffing like pigment into the air. So I had seen overseas that like there were production partners that were creating press formats of like these nail art pigments. The trouble was that it's so difficult to get it right because with nail art pigments, they're cosmetic grade, so you could technically use them on your skin. But when you're looking at something like eyeshadow or actual cosmetics, there's a lot of oils and binders that are in there in order to allow them to smoothly transfer to skin. So when people look at a pressed nail art pigment and they say things like, oh, I mean, that's just eyeshadow. I could just buy like a $5 palette off of like Amazon and use that like for eyeshadow. It's, I want to explain that the difference is that in how it's produced and how it's made. And I think this is something that like maybe being in the nail industry, a lot of us are used to like just DIYing and hacking things because we all started as DIYers. And like I'm not here to knock any like DIYers because I started as a DIYer, but you learn very quickly, like once you pick up a quality product, how it changes your workflow and how it changes like your process. And you're suddenly you don't like question yourself. You're like, do I suck? Or is it just products? And I think in the beginning, you never question the products because you just think that everything's, there's only one way to do everything, right? There's only one way to make everything. So for us, it was finding a partner that could not only like create pressed pigments cleanly enough without like all those oils and binders so that they perfectly transfer to nails in like high opacity, but also like just enough like additives in order to keep them pressed and like into a solid like pan, which is really difficult because there were a lot of like partners that we had worked with where they would just like fall apart and crumble because they're like, well, we'll take everything out of it. I'm like, cool, that's what we tried. We tried taking everything out of it, and then it just like became loose powder. So there was a lot of like back and forth with finding the right partners to create this product. On top of that, we wanted a format that was custom to us. So I think like with our name being Function of Vex and being a little bit like mathy and nerdy, we really wanted to lean into like the geometry of it all. So like this is what the palette looks like, and this is a custom designed palette by one of our product designers.
So sick.
And yeah, I think we wanted something that like felt like it could make you look like as a serious artist. Like if it's sitting on your desk, living at your station, like it is something that you're proud of, like busting out in front of your clients. What another like, I mean, just details that like I love that this lays flat, so it's not just like propped up like this on your desk. All of these individual pans are magnetized to the base. So these are iron pans that were custom molds for us to produce. And we had to produce like a custom like key like tool to like pop all the pans out to refill them. That's something that like I knew that I really wanted to integrate is like a fully customizable system because I think as artists, like we all work differently. We all have different palettes, we all have different clientele. And so having a palette that you could build and like could grow with you and could change over time with you was something that was so important because I think a lot of products that are made for the nail industry feel like one-time use, like throwaway. And I think I've always hated that about like current products I saw on the market. Like it felt like we weren't being taken seriously as artists,
So to that end, reaction from customers. What has been the top selling items? Like, I'd love to just understand, like, what is the reaction, given that you've brought so much intentionality to the market with the offerings, it's certainly considered. What has response been like? What do people gravitate towards?
I think the products that people have gravitated towards the most have been the Aura Melt and the Parallelo line, as well as like the Slick Matte and our fine print gels, like anything that we
But all three of our top coats.
Yeah, and all of our top coats as well, because like I said, like top coats, bases, like there's nothing that we really skip on when it comes to like quality. We're not like, oh, that's just a base product, so we'll just like whatever, cut corners there. But yeah, like our top coats are like really heavy hitters. Our matte top coat actually stays matte instead of getting grimy. Our glossy top coat doesn't yellow and it doesn't dull or scratch.
Yeah, it's the products that, and I think in terms of top coats, it's the products that they rely on like constantly. Every set is going to need like a top coat, right? So then they made sure that these were extremely reliable, extremely high performing. And then when you look at the fine print and the slick matte combo, which, aside from any chrome to create the isolated chrome, this is a pairing that eliminates time and guesswork and memorizing what product does what are the steps. Do I have to do this first and then that first? And then same with the Aura Melt was like skip all the information you need on how to use an airbrush, how to maintain an airbrush, how to do it
You
safely.
just need like a dense pigment brush with
Yeah.
like our angled pigment brush was like a huge hit when it came out with the pigments. But yeah, like taking out the guesswork and all the extra labor of having to like switch between colors because you could just dust off your brush on like a lint-free wipe or a napkin and then go right into a brand new color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people know, they
Yeah.
know, they're like the thing that they gravitate towards the most is the stuff that
Save them
eliminates
time.
time. And in watching from the outside in, I'm looking at the entire roster and I'm like, okay, so basically we're trying to expedite all of the setup so that you can get straight into the art.
Mhm.
And I think that's been the motto and the backbone of like how we choose products, especially the successful ones at FFX.
Incredible. I'm so taken because you guys are really thinking through every aspect of this, and that's not often the case. And as you said, like it is being received exactly as it was intended to, with people understanding that it's making their life easier, it's reducing time, allowing them to do, as you said, artistry, what they love most, and taking out the guesswork. What other things are you hoping to change as Function of X continues to evolve? What are the other sort of like gray spaces, open areas for you to expand into? Because everything you've done thus far is really like, again, carefully considered. It's from something that you've experienced yourself and wanting to solve for. What are the other things that you intend to solve for, to the extent that you're comfortable talking about it?
I think in terms of what we're manifesting for the future of the company, I don't really know that there's a limit. I think that I just find a thrill and we find so much fulfillment in just taking things that don't work that we've seen and then just breaking them, like
Mm.
turning them on their side, flipping them upside down, figuring out if there's a better way to do it. And for us, I mean, briefly looked at, how nail events are run, how the industry is perceived as a whole as kind of like maybe just a little bit like doing a lot of the exact same thing for decades now, and how can we like flip that culture on its side and how can we make things fun and exciting for the nail industry again, and how can we make it more than just product showcases, how do we turn it into a culture itself, and if everything goes well, if FFX does what it's supposed to do, I think that we're hoping to change like the way nails and nail artistry is like perceived as a whole across other fields as well, like fashion and other like aspects of beauty and makeup, and for nails to not just be like an afterthought anymore.
Michael, did you want to add something? You looked like you were in thought there.
Um, yeah, it seems like learning about it, nail artists don't get respected and like respected enough, but it does have kind of like a complex history um, of like the the immigrants that come over and they go into like nail chop shops and
Hmm.
the way they
They've kind of like commoditized the service so that, like your average consumer believes that this service should have a
Should
certain
only.
value,
Yeah.
and it should be capped at a certain value. And I know that like after COVID, a lot of us like fled to like nails and DIYing and kind of like learning how to do our own nails. And so that's opened up a whole nother gateway of like your DIYer economy and what that looks like, like they've like kind of bolstered a lot of like these like Amazon brands who are like, hey, you can get this whole full kit for like $30. So like, why wouldn't you do it? So it's kind of left like the professionals and the real like artisans,
artists.
yeah, like kind of in this gray space of like, how do we like pull back our authority in this space? Because like it's been like the Wild West and everyone's kind of just like jumped in here and kind of like staked their claim and made all these like crazy claims, created products that were unsafe and all for like the sake of like virality or for ease or like for costs of
Quick buck.
yeah. So
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about how you guys have grown personally as a result of that. I mean, you talked about like yeah, how you're different and sort of how it requires both, and but I would imagine there's been a lot of growth from the two of you into areas that are maybe not as comfortable for you. And I'm curious about that because the brand has been around for a minute, which is in itself quite a success. Longevity does not happen by accident, but like what are things like for you now? How have you changed? How are you different?
I have the most love-hate um, for this question because it's been so hard. But what we learned was that the business, should you allow it, because it will do this to you, will reveal everything about your nature and your character. Like one time I accidentally butt dialed one of our brand ambassadors. He was going out like to a concert, and I was like insecure. I thought back then, well, when we did bring on the ambassadors, we wanted to like interview them. And they had said that like this wasn't something that was normal for ambassadors. Usually they just get dished out like some kind of code,
Yep.
and they make a commission, but we wanted to get to know them. Um, again, we were so precious about the brand and because it was an extension of us,
Yeah.
or of Nick. And then, but anyway, I thought that like the ambassadors love Nick way more than they loved me. So when I butt dialed, I like ran over to Nick's room and I was like, "Hey, she wants to talk to you." And that was such a panic conclusion. Um, and Nick was on the phone with someone else and she was doing this like double FaceTime action. And then after that, she's like, "Hey, you have to be more like secure about this. Like if you made a mistake, you can own up to your mistakes, but you can't just like throw it on to other people and make them solve it for you and not look at what you've caused, stuff like that." So
Hmm.
it's required me to be a lot more secure. When speaking to manufacturers, I've had to become more stern, even though it's not like the way that I am by nature or the way that I want to be. It is the way that I need to be for this company to to do well, for our customers to get what they want, stuff like that. So how has it changed me? It's changed me so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's changed both of us like so much. It's starting a brand is not something for the faint of heart, I will say. The other thing is that if you are not willing to grow and break yourself apart and reassemble yourself and examine like all the nooks and crannies of yourself, it's not a good idea to start a brand because a brand will hold a mirror up to every single thing that is wrong with you. And I'm grateful for it. I think I'm so grateful for the process because it's allowed me to become a more patient person. And I think I've learned to like I've had to learn how to let go of a lot of control, working with other people. Like as the team grew and we have like almost like 10 people, I think we have 10 people now, having to communicate across teams and to take this thing that's in my head, like a vision, and somehow be able to put it on paper and make it understandable for others is something, it's a skill that's invaluable. It's forced me to communicate better, and I'm just so lucky to be able to get to do this like every day.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think something we learned really early on was like the whole like if you want to go fast, you go by yourself, and if you want to go far, you go with others.
I love that.
And because Nick was such a driving engine at the very beginning, um, to like inseminate the core of her belief into others and then let them articulate it, kind of like the Subway sandwich packaging thing, on my fulfillment side.
Yeah.
The creative direction still like goes on without her, like how the brand speaks. It came from a certain place, and we're happy that those values are still true, but it gets
Yeah.
articulated in multiple ways.
Yeah, I mean the great part is like we've been so lucky to find like such incredible partners and freelancers and artists to work with that, like once I've spoken to them and they understand the vision and they like are on board with the mission, it has become very easy for me to kind of like let go of the reins and just be like, this is a brand for expression. And so who am I to stop anybody like on my team from expressing what their version of this is? And so we give a lot of like leeway and like experimental room for all of our team members, especially on our like remote workers side. Like they get to tell, like we give them the brief for a story or a campaign and they get to kind of just bring it to life in their own way. And it's been so like fun to watch.
Mm.
It's quite evolved. Look, you guys asked your customers,
Mhm.
F of X makes me feel. I want you guys to answer it. How does it make you feel individually? When you think of your brand, what comes to mind?
FFX makes me feel humble, but also liberated and a little unhinged.
Okay, that's fair.
I think it makes me feel right. um, like I said about how the brand holds up a mirror, right? Especially early on in the first couple years or the first 2 years, like I was that mirror was showing something really negative all the time, and it was like every month I went through like a new change, and then there was like it started to slow down, but I remember thinking like, why is there so much wrong with me? Like because you would have like you might have an idea that you think is really good and you
Yeah.
thought of all the angles, and then all of a sudden you have some like a customer respond saying like that they felt neglected by this. And now we have to make a decision as like, do we tend to this person or do we take care of as many people as we can because we're only a business? Like
Yeah.
those questions being like the customer's voice gets converted to a thoughtful question, and then we have to decide, and that's who we represent ourselves as. That was happening so much, but it was funny. I think there was a month that nothing was wrong, and then something was wrong after that, and I was like, that checks out. I think it's been a month of nothing being wrong. There was bound to be something wrong.
I mean, too true. Like as you're saying it, I mean, whether you're building a brand or not, like participating in life, like God,
Mhm.
you don't see your weaknesses and then work through it. Like, what are we doing? Okay, guys, where can people, if they're not familiar with Function of Vex, where can they find, where can they shop, how can they get involved? Like, let's drop the links, let's put everything in the show notes, so we'll make it nice and easy for people. But like, please, let's do some plugs.
Yeah, I mean, find us anywhere at Function of Vex. We're especially active on Instagram, but we are thinking of venturing into other platforms. Of the other platforms, we'd love to hear where you'd like to see us. And if you want to shop, you can find us at f-vex.com.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's our only source so far. We don't have retailers yet.
yeah. f-vex.com.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, let's do our quick takes and then we'll let you get back to building this brand even bigger. Because we're
Sure.
very excited to see what's next because we're very pleased with what we're seeing already. These are the questions that we ask of all of our guests, so try not to think about it for too long. And yeah, we're going to ask each of you. First up, if you could instantly master one skill, what would it be? It does not have to be nail related. So, Michael, let's start with you. Any skill?
It is nails.
Oh,
It
okay.
it is nails. Yeah. I because yeah, I really want to understand the dude, if I could just absorb all of her experiences and her skills so that I could take care of the brand and the customers better,
Hmm.
that'd make me really happy.
Okay. Okay. Nick, what about you?
I think it would have to be like ballet. I'm just so fascinated with the obsession and the dedication that it takes to master a craft like that. So,
All right.
To be fair, you did ballet as a kid,
yes.
so we're not piggybacking on Timothy Chalamet's debacle. Yeah.
Ugh, he deserves everything that's coming his way. Michael, really quickly though, this is not a quick take. Do you dabble in nail art now as a result of being involved with this brand? I mean, you've got so much at your literal fingertips. Sorry
I
for the pun.
I have. Inside the nail graveyard is a work of mine in which I did like an ocean with a glass bottle that I use only like FX products for.
Hmm.
It was crazy to see that I can understand how the products are good and what they're trying to do, but because I don't have the skills, it's me. I'm the problem.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I've also like done like taken over with like testing products.
Mhm.
And so I have to apply them and then cure them, make sure they're the right color, make sure they're doing their jobs. Yeah, I do dabble. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was just genuinely curious. Okay. Current go-to song or album? Nick, you go first. What are you listening to these days?
I'm having like a crazy nostalgia wave, so I'm back to like everything middle school, high school, like pop punk scene music. So lots of Pierce the Veil, My Chemical Romance, All American Rejects, stuff like that.
Feels right. Feels right. When you were talking about Tumblr, I was like, we are of the same. Yeah, great. Michael, what about you? What are you listening to?
Spotify said my music genre is like vampire. What was it?
It's like ambient vampire
Yeah,
music.
I listened to like the Dune soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
It's the deep focus kind of.
Dune, I have like Dune art books behind me that you cannot see. Like I'm very similarly, I'm into that. The music's great. Score's
Yeah.
great.
Talking about Timothy Chalamet, we're getting him a lot of attention in this pod. Nail trend that you are currently obsessed with. Nick, let's start with you.
Yeah, I love any kind of freaky shapes, like the claws, the talons. I've been really loving like the tabby shaped nails, and I think that they need to like get more popular because I think it's a really easy like trend to achieve with any like almond extension.
What about you, Michael?
Um, I like the ones I see on Instagram a lot where they do the nail set and they'll put like graphics on what inspired each nail. And the ones that I like are the ones that get inspired by like furniture or architecture.
Hmm.
Sometimes they do like mid-century modern like furniture and they'll make a nail out of that. I think that's really cool.
All right. Uh, Dream celebrity client. Nick, if you could work with anyone, who would it be and what would you do?
I think it would have to be Alyssa Liu. I think that's my girl at the moment. And honestly, anybody else who is taking an old world industry and just like turning it on its side, like I'd love to work with them. And I think for her, I would love to do like her like raccoon like striped hair, but inspired by that, and I'll like do that on her nails.
I would love to see that. Michael, if you could work with someone in a campaign, let's be charitable to you. Celeb wise, like who would it be for you? And what would you maybe do with them?
There's a photographer in LA. His name is Ian. He goes by Sad Swim. We went to like a kind of what was it like a donation party or something like that?
Yeah, he did a like a what was
What
it
are those
called?
called? Like a fundraiser party.
Yeah, it was like a
Halloween
fundraiser
theme.
kind of like Halloween party that he did with End Overdose, which is like a really great organization, and they like offer a lot of education on how to prevent overdoses.
Yeah.
And I think that like everything he does is really,
Yeah,
really
real
cool.
conceptual, really
Yeah.
cool stuff. And also really nice. Like the whole night he was just taking photos of guests that showed up. And I thought that was crazy and kind of inspirational to give up his time like that.
Yeah, people just doing things differently, I
Yeah.
think is like so much more valuable to us than like celebrity.
Perfect. Perfect answers. Tiny thing that made you smile this week. Michael, let's do you.
It was Nick. I think yesterday I had a pretty tough day. I think I told her because Nick's pregnant right now and she's
Congrats.
coming out of the first trimester, which
Congrats.
um she had a lot of fatigue. I think more than like anyone else we've heard of trying to get like their experiences from and what that meant was that Nick like had to be taken care of and the business had to be taken care of. And yesterday we had our weekly meeting and after the meeting I was so tired and I told Nick that I was just tired of like having to act like everything was okay. And she told me that I didn't have to act that way. And that like brought me back in
That's
time.
beautiful, guys. No, that's that is making me smile. That's wonderful. I this the partnership that you got is a special thing. Nick, to follow that up, something that's made you smile?
Oh gosh, it's been a rough couple of months. I think like knowing like how tired Michael is every day and like when I give him bids or when I'm just like requesting something, how like willing he is to like provide them just makes me really happy. Like we're trying, I think as like business partners and founders and like running such a young company, we're always so busy lately that like the pregnancy and the symptoms have really like forced us to both slow down in so many capacities. But getting to kind of like revel in it because we haven't really been good at like reveling in like the good things that happen to us. But I asked him, I was like, you should talk to the gumball. We're calling it to the like the gumball right now. And he's like, oh, okay. And he started talking to it. And that made me really happy. And it kind of felt like, okay, like for a second, like nothing else really matters right now. Tomorrow we can get back to the hustle. But like right now, like we're a family and this feels like really nice and it feels right.
You guys, this is like going to be an emotional episode. Congratulations on that. That's huge. Congratulations on all of your success. We know you're going to keep hustling. We cannot wait to see what's happening with Function of X in a couple of years because of all the stuff you guys have done thus far. Thank you for coming on, and let's have you back when you got something else you guys want to chat about.
Of course.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you. This has been so great, Jeff. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, Jeff, what a duo. I mean, I love it. The partnership, the vibe, so fun to listen to.
When there's good people behind the brands and that they're doing
Same.
good things, and
Yeah.
it's just such a treat for us.
I agree. Be sure to hit subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Tease, and send in questions to volumeup@thetease.com.
Volume Up is a Tease Media production. This episode was produced by Monica Hickey and Madeline Hickey. James Arbache is our editor and audio engineer. Thank you to our creative team for the custom Volume Up theme song and for putting together the graphics and videos for this episode.